Alright, so today I've got a special guest. Me and him are known to bump heads in a sneaker group, but over certain colorways, but it's all in good fun. It's all in support of the culture. He blows me away with the amount of sneakers he's have, and today we're going to showcase it. Boyd, here you go. So look, first thing, I just want to know what got you into sneakers initially.
Well, I got into sneakers through hip hop. So I'm 45, 46 this year, so would have been around about 91. I was in TAFE doing a TAFE course, and I went to TAFE with a couple of prominent Sydney riders, Dream and Roski, and I remember Roski had a pair of Air Max 90s on, and I'd never seen them before, and I thought, fuck, what are they? And
I love those moments when you just see something for the first time and you don't know what it is, and it's not like nowadays where, like, you know, you get told what something is and the relevance of it. When those initial, like, pure moments and you're like, what is that?
So that was the first time I'd ever seen an Air Max, and from memory, everyone sort of that nowadays sort of talks about the TN as if it was like the first sort of Air Max that was, but it wasn't. It was the Air Max 90 was the first one that made an impact in the hip hop scene. Prior to that, everything was, especially here in Sydney or in Australia, everything was in the late 80s, and that was all high tops. Basketball sneakers. So
like the Adidas Roams.
Yeah, and so it was really the Air Max 90 that was the first Air Max that made an impact in that sort of scene. This might be the GR90 of the year for me. It's the colours. The lace swap as well. Put the blue laces in. I think it really makes the sneaker. And back in those days, there really wasn't a sneaker culture as such, like people like there is now. It's sort of morphed into its own culture. But back then, it was sneakers were just part of the hip hop uniform. You bought colours that you liked to match outfits that you had, and people say that I've heard a lot of people say that was Michael Jordan and his own shoe, the Jordan 1, that really sort of started the sneaker culture, and I don't think that's the case. I think that it helped to elevate it to what it is, but it definitely didn't start.
Probably took it to the mainstream.
Yeah,
that's probably fair to say.
I would say that sneakers were, like I said, were part of the hip hop uniform, especially with the b-boys. I think that's where with the breakers, they matched the sneakers with their track suits, and that's kind of how it started. So and I've seen Beat Street in the cinema. I think I was like 10 years old at the time, and that's what kind of started me.
Just blew you away. Yeah.
My favourite tailwind so far this year, the USA's. Very nice. The tartan inside. Nice sneaker.
Okay, so what was it like in those initial days, like trying to buy sneakers or trying to even find where to get them? Because, like you said, there was no information, there's no internet. It's just, you know, you see your mate wearing something fire.
And there weren't stores specifically for streetwear like there is now. There was no like stores like Culture Kings, or you basically had to go from store to store and get what you wanted. So you'd go to Foot Locker or even In Sport back then had some dope stuff and get your kicks and maybe a tracksuit from there. Then you might go to, you know, another place and get something from there. And you had to kind of just go to different stores to try and get your outfit. There weren't stores where you could get everything in under the one roof.
Like there is now. We're a little bit spoiled now, aren't we?
Be True 90s, which I'll put different laces in. If you want colour, this is it. And I think I made a statement when I posted them. Actually, one of the things, they got no tongue tag as well, which I found quite odd. But yeah, one of the statements I made about them, I think, was that when I first seen them, they reminded me of a Krylon spray can.
So what were some of the first sort of silhouettes that attracted you? You said obviously the Air Max 90.
Yeah, which in fact, it's the first one I saw, but never owned.
Okay.
So that's probably why it's probably my favourite silhouette. When I've got the most.
Now we're saying heaps of
Air Max 90s. Probably because the fact that I never actually had one back in the day, but it was the first one that ever seen that sort of got me interest in the Air Max. But the first one I ever owned was was the Persian BW. So that was the first one that that's the first Air Max that I ever owned. And that's exactly how I used to lace it too, like that at the time.
What's crazy about the BW is, I remember it had a little resurgence maybe about, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and no one touched them. I got a pair of BWs with the Volt, with the silver and Volt. I think I copped them for about $60 at Auburn.
For a night day, I reckon the 97s were the best out of the pack.
So do you even know how many pairs you've got in your collection at this point?
Funny, because I kind of didn't want to know, but my daughter counted them for me, and it's about 200, I think.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
I look around and it feels like more.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like more.
I think it looks more because obviously each pair's
they're displayed. Shoes. Yeah, so, true. Yeah,
you know,
that's a fair point.
So yeah.
And you've got, like, not many people have every pair they own display. Is this every pair, or you've got more hidden away in the stash?
This is it. Mr. Cartoon Cortez. I think when it comes to collaborations, I think this is probably the most perfect one almost. When you think of the Cortez, you think West Coast. It's an iconic West Coast sneaker, and Mr. Cartoon is obviously an iconic West Coast person. And I think the collaboration is just brilliant.
So you mentioned before that Air Max 90s, they're probably your favourites.
Yep.
Is there any certain colourways that still to this day? I'd imagine like an infrared.
The infrared.
That's always like a personal favourite amongst most people. They're probably due for a retro, you think?
Next year.
So
next year there's the 30th anniversary.
Okay, so that's why they haven't done it for a couple of years. So apart from the 90s, what are some of your other favourite sort of silhouettes?
I like the Air Max 1.
Yep. Got a few just here.
Yeah, so the 1s, the 90s.
This one was very slept on.
Yeah, that's the Atmos.
Yeah. For an Atmos sneaker, do you think that was like probably the most slept on for Atmos? Because usually like the animal stuff and, you know.
Well, I mean, it's pretty good quality if you ask me. Like by today's standard, I mean, you know, it's obviously not, the quality's not like it used to be, but I think it's, the leather's decent. The leather's probably not quite what it was back in 2003, but still very nice, I think. So that's the OG retro, and they bought this one as a new one, the green polythene, which is again quite nice materials. Like the design from say the Air Max 1 through to say 94 didn't really change that much, but the 95 was like,
that was a completely different shoe,
and that kind of I think sort of paved the way for your 97s and all that, you know, 98s, because that was vastly different. You look at a 98 compared to that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
chalk and cheese. You could almost say like even the 95, you could almost say, okay, that's a running shoe.
Yeah.
that looks like a running shoe.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you know, Air Max 1s now, they're sold as casual shoes
Yeah, that's
now,
right.
where back in the day
They were
was
cutting
like
edge running
yeah.
shoes. So
Yeah, man. Okay, so we get a lot of retros. Obviously the Spans came back last year.
yeah.
What is it that you want to see come back that you haven't seen come back in a while?
Structures. For sure.
Structures?
Yes.
The original structures?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember they tried using that name for an actual running shoe a couple of years ago. It was called a structure triax
Yeah.
in a
yeah,
retail
yeah.
platform, and that was essentially just something that looked like a Pegasus.
Yeah, the 91 structure was.
Yeah.
I had those back then. They got some. The original colorways are very nice.
Mm.
So I'd love to see them come back. There were rumours they were supposed to come back last year, but they never did. So
Yeah.
we're hoping for that.
Might be holding out to what, 2021, 30-year anniversary.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. You're someone that usually, I feel like, cops first day a lot of the time, or first week.
And then get burnt when you see it sit and go on sale.
Yeah, so that brings me to, this is my favourite part, is the bargain hunters. Is there anything where, you know, any stories that you remember you come across something crazy and like...
The Ewings.
The Ewings?
Yeah. 7 pairs for $200.
Yeah, whoa. You can't even get one pair into Australia for that.
They were on Culture Kings, they were getting rid of them online, like in the sales section, and I picked up, I think those 3 were like $30 each.
Man, I wish I knew about that at the time.
Yeah, they only had a few sizes, and I was lucky that they had my size, so yeah.
7 pairs, $200.
Yeah.
That's a pretty crazy story.